got two. I got two. I got two. Woo. Oh my God. Guys, I caught two. What? What is up, everyone?
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome to another edition of Chasing the 20 Inchers on the Susquehanna River. We have a special episode for you guys today. We have Mickey Forbes in the background. He'll be joining us really soon. How's everything going with you, Sean?
Not too bad. It's a busy holiday time as usual, but happy to be on talking my favorite topic with you tonight. So,
what's that? Winter fishing?
No, winter fishing is not my favorite. And anybody who says otherwise, well, hope maybe Mickey will. You never know. It'll be interesting. But if I could choose a time not to, that I could change the weather, it would probably be the winter time because I'm not a fan of freezing my butt off, but it also doesn't stop me from getting out on the water. So
yeah, exactly. Especially right now with the weather we're having right now, it's mighty chilly out there.
It is brutal at times for sure. So
normally on the weekends, one of us is texting each other asking if we're going fishing or not, and there was nothing today. So that just goes to show you how cold it is here in Pennsylvania. We're supposed to get a low tonight of about 6 degrees.
Wow. So, yeah. That makes it tough to even be on the water at that point. So, I mean, I stopped by the river again just to look at it on my way to church this morning. I usually run down there after I pick up my brother. And so it was not frozen. It didn't have any coating of ice on the top. I was surprised because my truck this morning at the Wrightsville ramp said 16 degrees. So I was fully expecting to see a little bit of crust here or there, but it was still free flowing. So it was definitely a good time.
Yeah, I think we need like a solid week and a half, 2 weeks of really cold weather for that thing to start freezing. The Susquehanna River.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the ponds that I've been passing have a little crust on them. So the pond fishing for now is out of the window, but the river's still flowing pretty good.
Yeah. So it's not unfishable. It just isn't the easiest fishing. But that was one of the things why we wanted to do an episode on some winter tactics, just because it isn't always the easiest time to catch fish. But there are techniques and things that you can do that will up your chances, increase your odds. So we'll definitely try and cover some of that tonight.
Oh, definitely. And I see some people are getting on here. Ken Glassner's on there. Good evening, gentlemen. What's up, Ken? Hey, thanks for your support, buddy. Scott Hepner's on there. What's up, Scott? Yep. So we'll just I see Mickey's in the background here. Guys, we're talking Susquehanna River winter fishing on this episode. Me and Mickey were out last Sunday and we about lost our freaking hands. By the end of the day, we both had to sit in our trucks before we got our kayaks loaded back up because our hands were freezing. Like we couldn't feel our hands. That's how cold it was.
I was out on Friday and it was the same thing. I normally, you got to drag me off the water, but 2 hours in, my hands were completely frozen, and I was like, I'm calling it. So
yeah, I mean, when you're so addicted to river fishing and smallmouth fishing, it's hard to keep you off it takes a lot to keep me off. And today was one of them days that I didn't even think about going out. But we're always fighting for that tug,
Yeah.
We want that tug no matter how cold it is, but today it was just too much.
Yes.
All right, so if you're ready to get going, we'll bring Mickey in here and talk to him a little bit of certain stuff that we do to try and catch smallmouth in the wintertime and what we look for and stuff like that. So,
cool. Yeah. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mickey Forsich to the program. Should be popping up here.
Hey, guys.
Hey, I added him. Is he on your screen?
Hang on.
There he is. Hey.
There he is. Hey, what's up, Mickey?
Hey, good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Happy holidays.
You too.
I hope everybody's doing well and is getting ready for Christmas time and enjoying time with their families and the fellowship and everything else like that.
So, Mickey, for those of the folks who might not know you, why don't you just introduce yourself and how you kind of got into fishing the river and anything else you want to share?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Mickey. I do live in Columbia, Pennsylvania, which is right on the other side of the river from you two, I believe. I know the three of us all live about the same from the ramp.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I grew up here and I never really fished the river until probably about 4 years ago. And I really got into the kayak fishing stuff and that's when I realized just how special this river was, and I took it for granted for a long time. And now I no longer do that. I'm out there every chance I can get.
Yeah,
and you do a lot of a lot of bank fishing too, right, Mickey?
Yeah. There's a lot of days where I have some downtime in between appointments, and I always keep a rod or two or three with me. And especially in the winter, it's an hour or two from the bank. You might be able to catch a few good ones, and we have.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we've all taken the river for granted for quite some time until we all realized how good of a fishery it is and how much fun it is just to be out there. Even if you're not catching anything, it's the scenery on the Susquehanna River is like no other, It's just fun being out there and if you have a motor on your kayak and just going up river and seeing how the bottom structure is and finding different things is really interesting to a lot of us.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we all live right here by the river, but I mean that doesn't stop us from driving an hour and a half up north because that's where we really like to be.
Yeah, exactly. So Mickey, so for the people that really wanted to start winter fishing but they don't really know what to do as far as what to look for, depth, where to launch for certain areas. Like if say I was a new kayak fisherman and I wanted to do some winter fish and I went out and bought a dry suit and I want to do this stuff, like where would you start? What would you tell these people to start? Like what should they look for? What baits to throw, stuff like that. What would you suggest to these kind of people?
Yeah, so I always I guess I'll break it down between there's here, by here I mean long level, Lake Clark, the deeper, slower water, and then there's up north, like Harrisburg and above. Both can be very good in the winter, but both are very different. So down here where it's deeper, I'm targeting under normal circumstances pretty much, anywhere from 6 to 14 foot of water. And, if the river's clear and normal, I'm throwing a blade bait, yo-yoing it, or an Aruku shad. And I always have a jig with me. Down here, typically the jig is going to be heavier to get it down. And I might experiment with a football head or just a regular Ned head. But what's going on it is either a jig, some sort of like a Z-Man Bugs, or a guy from STC Custom makes a lot of plastics that have less action. I like a lot of those, like gobies, things like that.
Something you can like dead stick.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll throw Kitex too all winter long. Some days it's just the deal, but
yeah,
that's pretty much what I'm using down here. When I go up north, I'm targeting, 6 to 7 foot water, and I'm throwing pretty much. I'm getting rid of the blade bait. It does work up there too, but it's a little more aggravating to throw in 6-foot water. I'm pretty much throwing jigs up there, Neds, 1/8 ounce up to 1/4 ounce, depending on flows. Similar type of trailers. Scent in the winter, I think,
It's
is a
big
good
deal.
thing.
Big deal. Yeah.
They certainly hold on to it. And I actually realized the other day I was missing so many fish because they were biting it and I wasn't feeling it. It was just kind of stopping. And at some point I said, you know what? I just started setting the hook and everything. And I think on the 6 casts, I had 3 fish and 3 leaves. So that tells you something. They all feel kind of alike.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. That's the thing. For a lot of the newcomers to the show and newcomers to winter fishing, you don't feel the bite like how it is in the spring and the summertime. It may feel like you're snagged, and hey,
so
you know what they say: when in doubt, set the hook. So
yeah, it's strange because we went up to the Juniata last week. I was up there with Brandon Sandy. He's a jet boat guy that fishes anywhere in the Susquehanna from here up to the Juniata. And the first couple fish we got, you felt them. I mean, they hit like it was fall. And that's what threw me through a loop, because then that just stopped, and everything else was just your bait's bouncing along the bottom, then just it feels like you're hung up. And it had been a while. I was a little frustrated, so I just set the hook, and I noticed half my I was using a Helgermite, and half of it was gone. And I said, that was a fish. So I threw back in there, and when I got stuck, or felt like I got stuck, that's when I just started setting the hook every time. And it's just crazy how the bite changed from that's, aggressive snapping bite to just where the fish kind of picks it up and sits there with it within hours.
Yeah. YouTube user says hook sets are free. So that's totally true. So
they're usually free. I've been known to break a few rods and lose a few rigs doing that. But hey, it's worth it for a chance at a good fish.
I remember when I first started fishing blade baits, alongside you, Mickey, and you told me the same thing. If you're yo-yoing your blade bait and it feels at all different, even if you think, oh, that's just grass, you should still set the hook just to see, because a lot of times it's going to feel like that. It's going to feel like just something is on there. If you feel anything at all that's different, give it a yank and see what happens. So
that is kind of interesting, because I feel like that was probably one of the first times we met or went out together, at least, and it was winter, it was cold, and it was right here, and it kind of worked out. I caught a couple of nice ones there, showing you what I was doing with the blade bait. I'm throwing half ounce in that kind of situation. I want that thing down. And I think that day I actually had the cheap Bass Pro ones on, and they were 5/8 ounce, and they were heavy, but they work. And you got to be willing to lose them. You're throwing that thing out there, you're letting it go all the way to the bottom, and then you're just pulling it up until you feel it start to vibrate, and then you kill it.
And that's a good point you're bringing up, Mickey, as far as the weight goes, because we're all so used to fishing 1/8 ounce, 3/32 or whatever in the summertime and the springtime, and then you're talking about half ounce and stuff like that in the river. So I think that's where I struggle, because I don't normally go that heavy.
Yeah, you just got a picture. I mean, that's that area that we're fishing, where we run into each other a lot. That's anywhere from 10 to 14 feet of water typically. So you throw that heavier blade bait out there, it's getting down to the bottom, and then you have control over it. You can feel it when you're pulling that up. You can feel it vibrate, and when you kill it, you can actually feel it hit the bottom.
Yeah, it goes thump.
Yeah, and there's some days where Sean, I was telling you, you set the hook if it feels off, but sometimes you feel them crush it on the way down. But most of the times you're pulling it up, feeling it vibrate, you're dropping it back down. And then when you go to repeat the process, you're not feeling that vibration. You're just feeling what I call kind of a shift. You don't feel, it doesn't feel right, you know? So
Yeah.
you
Right.
reel up the slack quick and set the hook. As that person said, they're free. Give it a shot. And a lot of times it is a fish. And well, that's my go-to. That blade bait. I love throwing that thing. I probably went through about $200 worth already, breaking them off because I have been fishing from the bank a lot. But when I'm on a boat, I tend to get almost all of them back.
Maybe
Yeah, I was
that's
just going to
winter.
say that I go through a ton, especially when I'm bank fishing. Like blade baits and bank fishing to me is synonymous with bring a handful because you're probably not coming back with most of them. But and it's interesting. Ken is on from Ken's Jigs. I was just down at one of the few spots that I have luck fishing from shore, and a good buddy of ours, Scott Goswinnett, was there, and he was showing me some of Ken's blade baits. So Ken, I'll probably be hitting you up for some of those here shortly because
That's good to know. I didn't know
yeah,
you did them. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I didn't know he made them either.
Scott was showing me. So
I was just talking
Now's
about
the
some
time to be
jigs.
fishing.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
put a
sorry.
big order in. I'll go through 'em.
Yeah. Yeah. What about hair jigs? Do you still go with the same weight when if you would throw a hair jig?
No, no. I mean, you still want to go a little heavier if you're fishing that deep, but a hair jig, yeah. If you go that heavy, you're gonna lose them.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I figured.
yeah, your goal is to, well, if you're fishing from the bank, you have a little bit more control, I'd say. So you could still probably get away with that 1/8 or 3/16, get it down on the bottom. But I've done well fishing from that bank with 1/4 ounce football head. I put a Kitech on. I throw it upriver a little bit. Now where we are, there's not much current, but it's there. And I let that thing hit the bottom, and then I just kind of pull my rod up until I feel it. I'm not moving the bait, but I'm a little tight. And you just got to picture that what little bit of current there is moving that tail. And if you have it in the right area, something will grab it eventually. That was probably quite a big learning curve for us. I mean, we've covered up and down anywhere from that bridge all the way down to Shanksmere, and we found some holes. But that's years of finding that. So you know if you're trying to cover water to find one of those spots, that's where I start with the blade bait. But then, yeah, sure, later pick it apart with jigs, hair jigs. I did want to mention this winter fishing thing. As you guys know, it's a community. I mean, there's you, me, there's Scott, there's Ken, there's all these people you run into down there, and you don't see them in the summer, you don't see them in the fall. It's only in the winter, and it's pretty cool.
It is. It is cool to see you guys every once in a while because most of the time we're fishing, we're all spread out all over the river. We don't know where each other are, and then when it comes to wintertime, it seems like everybody's, gravitates to that area.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, it seems to be the right area. So
well, it's a wintering hole, so yeah.
yeah.
But I know one of the things I was going to mention, if you're at all curious about hair jigs and you want a master clinic on that, talk to Mike Reinhold. He has that so dialed in with weights and line choice. Like, he can tell you, oh, well, if you're using an 1/8 ounce hair jig, you want 10-pound tests because that'll help you get the flow right. But he really has that dialed in, and he makes his own hair jigs. So I actually bought a couple off him at one point, and he was the first person to really break that down for me. And I don't profess to know everything he does, but he did share a lot with me. So that might be something we'll have to have Mike on sometime to talk about because he definitely knows the hair jig game pretty well.
Yeah, I remember him talking about that, and there's been days where, especially up north, like he's going up north. I won't say exactly where, but I know where he was. He would go out and find some traditional wintering holes up there, above Harrisburg, and he would throw that hair jig, and he said they'd have 30, 40, 50 fish days in one hole, and
Wow.
people think that maybe that's a thing of the past, and in some areas it is, but no, there's certainly spots up there where you could still do that. Hey, next week's looking great. That warming trend. I always try to get out there when usually 3-4 days into it being warm, where that water has a chance to warm up a little bit and then kind of flatten out, be a little consistent. That's when I want to be up there, regardless of what the weather's doing that day. I'm going. So looking ahead, I think the end of next week looks pretty good, and then even the following week looks really good too. Around New Year's Day,
Wow.
it's looking. We're gonna have some chances to get out. So I hope it doesn't freeze. I heard you guys talking earlier. A lot of that has to do with what's happening up north too. There could be chunks of ice floating down right now, and
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all.
No.
I know. I hear you. I hear you.
And last year we got lucky and we didn't see any of that. I mean, there might have been some chunks floating down here and there, but for the most part, when I was out fishing, I fished quite often last year in the wintertime, and I didn't see any ice.
I think I have one video of me that you actually shot, Mickey, of me dodging icebergs. I can't remember if that was last year or the year before. But
ooh, I think that was 2 years ago. And yeah, like not even I want to do out that day. And there you were on your kayak, and there's chunks of ice floating down. I have a video of you slow-mo with a big iceberg going by you with Titanic music playing. And I can't believe you went out that day. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was fishing from the bank, and that was as much as I wanted to do that day. But but yeah, the ice isn't always a bad thing, though. I mean, it definitely clears out this river. And I was talking to a guy, John Steigler. He says that the ice can be good because these islands that we see, they get bigger every year, especially when we haven't had a lot of high water.
oh yeah,
And a lot of dirt builds up around them. And when those ice chunks come down, they carve them up a little bit and beat them up a little bit, get rid of some of that junk in there, and it that could lead to a better spring. As we all know, this year was terrible for grass.
yes,
Yeah.
it is. It's almost like a big reset, which is nice. So,
but yeah, I will say this: where we live here at the Lake Clark, and all that, Lake Alledred, we're lucky because in the winter it is very good, and we don't have to go very far to catch them. But still, if I had to choose, driving distance aside, I would go straight up. The Juniata is probably my favorite in the wintertime. I probably fished the Juniata like 5 times in the summer and then fished it a bunch in the winter. It's phenomenal.
I've never even thought about fishing the Juniata in the wintertime.
Yeah, I mean, there's deeper holes there. It always seems to be a little bit warmer than everywhere else. There's less wind, I feel like. The grass is still a problem, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the flows too. Like it's not overwhelming. It's like a medium current, and you find a lot of good holes in that.
I mean, that's some of the things you just said there are key factors in why there would be smallmouth there, because you said the water might be a little warmer there, and people would be amazed on how a little bit of temperature change would change where the fish would be.
Yeah, I don't know how much warmer the water is, but like just feels like it's when, as a fisherman, when you're there, you're more protected from the elements a little bit. And
I thought you were talking about the temperature in the water.
No, I don't know enough about it to know. It just seems like it could be warmer.
Yeah.
It could be colder. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly at this time of year, those fish want to get out of the current, but they don't want to be exposed. So they're always looking for like eddies that just have enough depth to kind of run to, if it, because they're smart enough not to get stuck in the ice. So they're always thinking about that too. They need to be somewhere
they
where
need an escape route. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you find them up and down that river. And when we were out there last week, we found a couple of those spots, and it was really good. My friend was just out there the other day, and he did really good. And he fished a whole different section of the Juniata that I was fishing. So there's a lot up there to be explored.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I love fishing the Juniata River. I just never fished it in the wintertime. That's one of my favorite rivers to fish.
Oh yeah, you're up there in the summer, and I remember you fished a lot of big tournaments. You go up into the Juniata, and I think you're crazy, but I mean, I know the fish are there, but
we had a couple good days this year up there.
Yeah, we did. I did not fish the Bassmasters on the Susky this year, but I did the second day. Was in collaboration with MAKBF, and I fished MAKBF, and I got 90 inches off the Juniata on the second day.
That's right. That's what you were telling me, and that's crazy. I mean, I going up that Juniata, it can be very good. I know that. I know the numbers can be there, but every time I've even attempted it in the summer, it's like, oh, there goes a group of 30 kayakers. Not a single fish around amongst them, but here they are. I'm going to be following them all day.
I have seen that before too, like scouting groups and all sorts of things. Like I have encountered that on occasion up there.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys since you're both involved in kayak anglers. Did that schedule come out? I saw a little bit of championship talk, and
we have a tentative schedule. We're just waiting to get all the permits back. I can say we have 3 of the 5 permits back. We are going back to the Bay this year, but we have a lot of the normal Susky events too. But yeah, it's just pending getting the permits back. But like I said, I think we have 3 of the 5 that I submitted back already. So the Bay is definitely approved. So we're definitely going back there. And I just got one back. I think it was the Middle Susky, like Sunbury to City Island. So that one's definitely going to happen. And I'm trying to think of what the other one I got back was, but I think we did post a tentative schedule on the Kayak Anglers of Central PA page. So
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot different than last year. Last year was mostly Susky and Juniana. And this year is a little bit more of a change up as far as
we did actually a southern end one that's you can either fish Conowingo or
the lower Susquehanna,
below the Safe Harbor Dam,
which that's kind of a cool. I know Mickey would like that one. He likes the Conowingo.
What date is that? What time of year is that?
I have to look. Let me
pull have it right here. I think it's August.
I should know because I submitted all the permits, but all right. So our tentative schedule is May 17th, the Upper Bay, June 21st, Juniata, June 19th, Middle Susky, August 2nd is Lower Susky or Conowingo, and then September 6th, we're going to fish Pincho if we get the permits back. So Pincho is apparently sometimes hard to get the permits for, but we're going to try it. So
yeah, I know Mickey racked them up in the Conowingo on the MAKBF last year. I think that's how you won AOI. You got by 1 point because you had the biggest fish, right?
Yeah, the big bass gave you 2 bonus points, and I did that on the Conowingo, and I did manage to win that event. But Nate Hall, he went on a tear and just started winning every single event, and every other event, and fortunately, I got to fish all the MAKBF events, and in 2 of them, the Conowingo and another one, I caught big bass. So I was able to get 4 bonus points. Well, I got a nice fish on the Susky. It was during the Bassmaster tournament. It was 20 3/4, but unfortunately, somebody else caught one 20 3/4, and I think it went by your next biggest fish,
or your next biggest, yeah.
Which I had a 20 1/4. I guess that wasn't good enough, but anytime you have a 2-day tournament on the Susky, and that's 10 fish, 5 each day, and 2 of them are over 20. That's a good thing.
That usually you're going to be sitting pretty good with that. So what's your PB, Mickey?
My PB was actually you mentioned something about the other day. That was actually not it. I did catch a 21 1/2 on Conowingo during that MAKBF event.
Okay.
So it was 21 1/2.
That's your PB.
Yeah. I mean, that's mouth shut, tail flat. I know some of my boat buddies, they could stretch that thing to 23 inches all day. So I'll just say it's a 21 1/2 official, but I had a 21 1/4 just it was last week or so, 2 weeks ago, over here on Long Level. I was fishing with Brandon, and I was yo-yoing in a Ruku shad, and we were in about 12 to 14 foot of water, and we weren't catching a lot, but I'll tell you what, every fish we caught was pretty quality, and that one there was no exception. It was a long, skinny 21 1/4 inch smallmouth.
Yeah. That's the one we showed on the show last week.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I got that thing up to the boat, and you just know sometimes you're going to lose them, and it just felt like it was coming off, and it did. And Brandon he just bought a net the night before that was longer than his normal net, and he reached that thing out, and I had already decided that fish was gone. It's gone. He scooped that thing up, and he brings it in, and my fish is in it, and I couldn't believe it. It took me a minute to register that he actually got that thing in the net. That thing was, in my mind, long gone.
Wow.
So a little bit of luck factor there. I'm glad we were able to get it in and get some pictures.
Cool.
But,
So let's talk about that a little bit, Mickey. Your season last year, you had a pretty dang good season. You got a blue trophy from Bassmasters.
mm-hmm.
You got Angler of the Year for MAKBF, and I think you won a couple tournaments on Kayak Anglers Central PA too.
Yeah, I did some. I did. I had a really good season last year. I went down and fished something I'm not really good at, but I'm getting better at. I fished the Upper Bay, and I won a very tough event with Chesapeake Reel Masters, and it was their inaugural event, and it was just blown out conditions, muddy water. It was nasty. April, and I think I caught the only limit.
Oh wow!
I just sat on a brush pile and picked it apart for 8 hours. It was pretty boring, but
Wow.
I was bundled up. I didn't need to go anywhere. But then I came on back and we did the June 9th tournament on the Susky for kayak anglers, and that got a great turnout.
Yeah,
That's a weird time for me. That's like post spawn. I don't do a whole lot of post spawn on the river. I'm usually still tidal fishing or figuring out the Potomac or Upper Bay. So that was strange to me. It was just like a early topwater bite. It just kind of started getting good, and I said, "Hey,
remember. Yeah.
I got a couple good ones early." So I just spent the rest of the day throwing topwater and trying to get 2 or 3 more quality bites, and I did. And one of those was also on a chatterbait. That was a spawned out female that barely bit it, and it was what 19.75 or so, 19 and a half, and it didn't really fight. I just came right in, and I said, "Well." But that was awesome. And then there was the what was there? The MAKBF Conowingo, and then there's the Bassmaster tournament. I had a good finish there. I finished. There was like 224 people in that. I finished third, about a half inch out of the lead. So that was exciting.
Right behind Christine Fisher.
Yeah. The she had a 1/4 inch on me, and then Ewing had a half inch on us.
I mean, you're right there.
Yeah. Actually had well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the what was I going to say? One of my favorite parts of that tournament was afterwards. So I went to the awards ceremony. There's all the people there, and I didn't really know too many people, and the people I did know were busy, organizing the MAKBF awards.
Yeah.
And there you were, giving me a pat on the back, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing here?" I was so happy to see you. You calmed me down. You made me feel good, and you stuck around. That meant a lot to me, so I really do appreciate that, man.
And I helped you carry your trophies out of there.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Just to see somebody I knew, like personally knew, and to see that, and you didn't even know how good you did. You just stood up there, and every time they called somebody's name, I could see like a shock on your face. Like, why am I still standing here?
Well, I knew I did pretty good, but you know how those things are, day 2, I'm seeing my name in first, I'm seeing it in third, I'm seeing it in second, back and forth we go with each cast. But you just know there were so many people on day 1, I think like 11 people ahead of me, and they hadn't really posted fish, or I didn't look that far down yet to see what they posted. I said, 4, 5, 6, 7 people are probably sandbagging, and so I never really bought into, I have a chance to win this. And then as the day wore on, I'm like, I actually might. But I pulled out. I told my buddy, I said, I think I got maybe 10th, and we get to the awards, and all these people who killed it on day 1, they didn't do so well day 2. And I start hearing their names get called for 15th, 14th. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm doing the math, and I'm like, wow. I got a shot here. So that was really exciting. And when people get into this thing, they get into it for different reasons, because they like fishing, they like competition, their friends do it, it's fun. I mean, it's all the above. I mean, when everything goes your way in one weekend like that, it's a blast. And I encourage anyone to give it a shot. I mean, it was well worth it. It was fun. I'll always remember that.
It was exciting for me, and if I would have entered the tournament, I might have got 37th or something like that. I kind of figured it out with the math, but it was exciting to me just to see one of my buddies win something like that. It was pretty awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, your support, you being there. I tell people about that. I said, man, he was right there cheering me on. I was like, I really appreciate that.
It was cool.
But yeah, just this whole year, I mean, it was great. Yeah, I ended up winning Angler of the Year for MAKBF. It was very close, but I didn't have a lot of time to put in the fall like I did in the spring. So I was just kind of holding on for dear life as this season ended. Um, but priorities are family first, and then fishing, and being able to combine the two has been a great joy of mine as these kids get older and more into it. And my fiance, I got her into it, and she caught a 20-inch smallmouth this year on her
Oh,
own.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
She has a good teacher, I'll say, though.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
said, do you know how special this is? Do you know how big this fish is? And she's like, I know. She's like, I see your 20X submissions. She goes, I haven't seen you submit any 20s in a while.
Oh,
She knew exactly what she had.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, Mickey. Congratulations on a exceptional tournament season this year. But getting back to winter fishing, so they call it, you always hear the term winter holes, winter areas, mostly winter areas. I mean, I hear winter holes and stuff like that. And for people that don't know much about winter fishing, what does that mean as far as when somebody says something like a wintering area for the smallmouth?
Yeah, well, today it means different things than it used to. I mean, you used to go up to Fort Hunter and you see all those lines of boats there, and that would be a true wintering hole. Deep water, fish stack up by the hundreds. Well, nowadays you can go, and if you can find slower water with deep water nearby and it's deep enough, there's probably fish there. I tried to experiment with that. I mean, I went up to Fallmouth. It was a day similar to this. It was like 22-degree high, and the river was up though. I went up there, never fished it, and I just started throwing in some eddies and with a jig, and I ended up catching only two fish, but they were both 18 and a half, 19 inches. So that worked out. Those fish, those winter holes, are basically areas where it's deep enough but slow enough. There's deep water access nearby, and there's not all of them produce. But if you find 10 of them and hit them all, and 4 of them produce 1 or 2 fish, that's a good day in the winter. 8, 9
Yeah.
fish, that's a good
Oh,
day.
absolutely.
And
I think one
if I
fish
catch
is
3
good in
fish,
the winter.
well, yeah.
As long as you don't get skunked is good in the winter.
I feel like if you get 1 fish, then you're onto something. You should be able to figure out a couple more.
True.
Unless it happened on your way out, which that last cast might have got you. But
so I do have some notes written down here. So my next question is, what do you think like smallmouth do when it starts getting super cold like it has been? How far do you think they travel? Do some still stay shallow? Do all of them go deep into a hole and just sit there all winter? Like, there's a lot of different questions that people have on what smallmouth do in the wintertime. Why don't we fish the same areas we fish in the summertime? There still could be smallmouth there.
So from fall to now, they certainly, not all of them, but they certainly do move, and some of them move far. I'm talking miles. I got to take a close look at that fish I caught, that 21 and a quarter. That might be the same fish either myself or another gentleman caught over the summer, 3-4 miles up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't have much time to look at it, but I remember seeing something on it thinking, I've seen this fish before, and it's the same exact length. So that some of them travel miles to get to these winter spots. But like, let's say from when you and I were out there and it was 36-degree water temperature, and then all of a sudden everything's freezing over and it's 32 degrees. They don't go very far. They've already gotten to where they need to go, and they'll just move up and down a little. That whole area we fish it's 4 foot flat, and then it drops off to 14 foot, and you can go up and down it. And if that wasn't all private there, we could throw a blade bait from the bank the whole way down. We'd probably find 15, 20 really good holes. And, I was fortunate enough to be on a boat with live scope and seeing what's down there. There is a lot of structure there. Those fish don't need to go very far.
Well, not just structure. I mean, the day we were out last Sunday, there was a lot of debris in the water. areas that we wanted to fish, we couldn't fish because we couldn't get our bait down there with all the floating wood and everything that was going on.
Yeah, that was a strange day. I think that you and I both missed our opportunity early. We had a good solid bite, and then it was just nothing. And then it got so cold so fast that I didn't look at the pressure gauge, but it probably changed
It dropped.
significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, we were in our trucks, and you were starting to load up. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes and watched you load up until I could feel my hands again. And I've been experimenting with different things. I think I finally settled on. I got these fishing gloves. They're ice fishing gloves, and you can. They're mittens, so you can fold them on and off with a magnet. So when you're running that boat or even the kayak, like you can flip them on and off when you're ready to fish. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty good compared to. I had these glacier gloves, and it just felt like nothing. Didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I guess you got to spend some money if you want to be warm in the winter. I thought about getting one of those golf cart heaters and putting it in my kayak. It goes in a cup holder. But my only thing is, like, if you're that warm, feeling that good, and then you fall in, that's a pretty extreme change.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you do wear a dry suit? I remember the one you and I going out and you wearing a dry suit, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm by myself, I mean, I'm wearing that thing. It's yeah. But if I'm
that was one thing we wanted to highlight for sure is, safety is a prime concern, because when the water's as cold as it is now, if you fall in and you don't have a dry suit, you're going to be in trouble. It's going to be tough.
Oh yeah, and I'm wearing my life jacket if I'm on a jet boat. I don't care. I'm wearing a life jacket.
Yeah. I mean, because Jeff Little, I know, has done a lot of videos and stuff on it. And he talks about that involuntary gasp. So, even if you think you're a good swimmer, when you fall into water this cold, your first reaction, your body is trained to do it, is to take a big gulp. And if you're underwater, guess what? That's game over for you. So,
yeah, and I didn't understand that at all. And I jumped into this thing, and people were explaining, I'm a good swimmer. I don't understand. Like, yeah, I'll get out before and they're like, no, you don't understand. And then I saw a guy. I didn't see it happen, but I read it and watched it. A guy, they were launching a boat. He fell in. They've launched 1,000 times in this lake. He fell in while his other buddy was, messing with the truck or something, and he drowned 10 feet away from land. Because when he fell in, he breathed that water in and lost control of his body. That shock you were talking about.
Yep.
That was enough to scare me into buying a dry suit. And now, you know what? You just put the darn thing on. You go out. You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Just be smart. But
yeah, absolutely.
I see a comment from Mick Wood in the comments. He's another winter hammer. One of the things that he had, and I was going to ask Mickey about this too, is jerkbait fishing, because I know Mick definitely likes his jerkbaits, and I know Dave Gallagher also is another jerkbait fisherman, and I think sometimes when it comes to winter fishing, I'm overusing my jerkbait, because
down here,
less is more,
forget
right?
about it. Yeah, down here is different. Mick Wood, he's why I didn't say where I was on the junior. That guy, man, he took me out there a few times, and I said, I don't really, I want to fish, but I don't really want to be fishing in the winter. This sucks, and I need to be catching something for this to be fun, or at least seeing somebody catching something. Well, seeing's believing. You go fishing with Mick Wood, and you'll be believing a lot. This guy knows how to fish in the winter. And then as far as jerkbait fishing goes, I actually went out with Patrick Sprankle a bunch back, a couple years ago, and he showed me some stuff with that thing. You don't got to do a whole lot with it, but it's not going to work down here like it will up north, because 99% of my tackle box is a 3 to 6 foot diving jerkbait. You throw that out in 6 foot of water, it's perfect up there. You throw that out down here in 14 foot of water, it's not doing anything. The only time I catch them on jerkbaits down here is if the water comes up a little bit and they're staging on creek mouths and eddies. Then you get them, but like their log spot that we call the log spot.
Yep.
That's a terrible spot unless the water's up. Then they're everywhere in there. And they're in 4 to 6 foot of water, down here.
Yeah, that's where I went out last Friday, and that was the only place I found fish. And that's where my fish came from in my 2 hours that I was out. And it was literally stain and debris. And I caught it on a Ned rig in about a foot of water, I think. It was super shallow. but it was sitting right on that big eddy that goes right by it. So
that was a pretty nice fish too.
Yeah,
it was
I
like
was
a
happy.
17 or something like that.
Yep.
So when you're out there, are you looking for current or no current or eddies, or what are you
Yeah.
looking for when you're out there winter fishing?
Yeah, so
Slow
I'm
moving
always
water?
looking for that. Like I watched a lot of Jeff Little videos, like a lot of kayak fishermen have, and he's always talking about the bubbles, bubbles this, bubbles that. So you start looking for those things, and you might not get it right away. If I'm a slow learner sometimes, so I go out there, and once you have some success and catch some fish, they start seeing patterns come together. Those bubbles, okay, so all that is really it's an eddy, right?
Yeah.
The water's coming down, it's moving fast, the bubbles are moving fast, but then you see bubbles moving back up. And you might not be able to see why. Sometimes you can see the ledge, sometimes you can't. There's something under there, so just throw it in there and see what's going on. And you do it enough, it's going to work. So yeah, eddies, you know, especially on the Juniata, everything kind of looks like a consistent flow. But if you look closer, there's different speeds, different depths, and that's where the fish are on them changes. And that's when you can get away with a jerkbait. You could throw that thing out there. I'm watching the Eagles game on my phone. That jerkbait's been out there for I
Just
don't
let it
know,
sit.
7, 8 plays. It's been out there for 10 minutes. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm getting hit. I'm like, okay. So there are days where you can catch them on a jerkbait even when it's 33 degrees, but you can't be doing a whole lot with it. They might just be watching that thing, and then you go to take a drink and you bump your rod a little, and that jerkbait goes like that, and boom, they're on it. It
Huh.
it does work. But this year, I just got so frustrated with the grass that I just been throwing the jigs mostly and
Yeah.
kitex.
Now what about bait fish or crawfish style baits in the wintertime? Would you prefer more of a bait fish style bait or a crawl?
There might be no science to this, but if it's sunny out and it's like the water temperature popped up a degree or two, I'm throwing a kitex. If it's just been consistent, and it's kind of cloudy, rainy, or whatever, just like stable conditions, then I'm usually throwing a jig. If it's very clear water, I'm throwing a very naked, simple jig or tube. If it's stained water, I'm throwing a jig with a little bit of profile to it. I
Okay.
do not
So
like
a
the
little bit
swimming
mixed in.
crawls, and that might be a confidence thing. I don't like a lot of action in the winter.
Mhm.
I'm throwing something with a single tail or tentacles. I mean, Sean, I sent you those pictures. I
Yep.
snagged a bunch of different kinds of food in that river that these bass eat. Throwing trebles, I snagged a bunch of different stuff, and that thing you said it looked like a baby crawfish or a that was definitely a like nymph, like a larva or something, but it was big.
It was very
And
big. Yeah.
and I put a heligromite on that looked just like that with a jig that it looked like that, and let me tell you, it worked. It worked really good, and I love
Hmm.
when something like that works out.
I know the guys from Susquehanna Fish and Tackle, they swear by the Kitex, just slow rolling them, painting rocks, you know. And I also heard George talking about the hair jig too the other day, and he's like, now's the time to be fishing it. You just paint rocks with that thing, get it down there and slow roll it on the bottom, and sooner or later you're gonna feel something.
I was going to ask you about your jig retrieve, Mickey. Is that like same kind of thing, counting rocks, where you're just dragging it along, or are you trying to weight it enough so that it moves with the current?
Yeah, so I'm trying to throw that thing out there. Like, so I was on the Juniata last week, and I was throwing a 316, and that was enough to get a good cast out there, get it down to the bottom, but still have it move a little bit. So it's not, you don't feel like ticking along real fast, but you kind of feel it and then stops. So I'll pull it a little to get it moving again, but barely.
Okay.
And then when I pull it a little to get it moving again and it won't, I'm setting the hook, and it's either a fish or a leaf. So
It's just like
um,
Mick Wood's comment and say, if you think you're fishing too slow, you're not fishing slow enough.
yeah,
That's something I always keep in my head when I'm fishing in the wintertime, and just trying to keep it slow. And I also think that just the patience of fishing in the wintertime makes you a better fisherman overall. Because you gain the confidence in the patience during the winter, and when you throw that in through the spring and summertime, I think it makes you a better fisherman. So to
yeah.
me,
I
winter
catch
fishing
myself,
is
tell myself to slow down a lot out there, especially if you're not getting bit. You got to slow it down a little, which is very hard to
yeah.
do, especially for some people.
Yeah.
For most people.
It's not usually a power fishing game. Yeah. There's people who live and die by power fishing, but if, that is not always what works in the wintertime for sure. So
there's a lot of people that don't even fish in wintertime just because they don't like to fish slow.
Right.
So they won't even fish.
That's why I throw the blade bait as much as I can, because you keep that thing moving and you cover some water. You can't sit there and paint rocks and throw that thing and get it vibrating and kill it. It's the closest thing to power fishing you can get in the winter.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know people that throw chatterbaits and catch them in the winter, but I don't know that that's much different than throwing a Kitech on, like a 1/4 ounce jig head and just letting that hit the bottom. And I don't know, maybe
last year, oddly enough, late winter, I found a black and blue chatterbait bite right along the bank. I went out with a buddy with a little boat, and man, we just had a heck of a day with a black and blue chatterbait. Now it was probably like maybe February, so it's late winter at that point, but it was a weird day. So
I remember you talking about that. Yeah, I mean, it's late February is much different than what we're doing.
Oh yeah. yeah.
I remember some really killer days in late February. You get a nice little warm front. It's much different than now.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. We got to get out.
That's what I was just gonna say. I'm looking forward to getting out there in February and looking forward towards when the weather starts changing a little bit. And one thing that I did forget to mention, and I wanted to mention it before a bunch of people started dropping off here, but Ken from Ken's Jigs hit me up today, and he said anybody that mentions our show when they place their order with him will get 10% off. So
thanks, Ken. That's awesome, man.
Anybody out there that is making orders with Ken Glassner,
we're in the middle of making an order right now, so I'm going to make sure him and Ken are listening.
The blade baits. So we as long as you mention Chasing 20s podcast, you'll get 10% off. So thanks, Ken, and I'm sure a lot of other people will thank you for that.
I just Carlisle, am I pronouncing your name right? All this time went by, and I'm like, man, somebody had me feeling like I was calling you the wrong name.
No, you're definitely pronouncing it correctly. But
Carlisle.
I have a lot of Carlisle. Yep. I have a lot of people call me Charlie, call me Carly.
Yeah, Carly. You see, my buddies were messing with me. There's some kayak angler guys, Brad and Brian. They're trying to say it's Carly, and I don't know.
No,
they almost had me calling you Carly tonight. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, most of my friends call me just Carl. Call me Carl. That's fine.
That works.
But I did have a couple other things. Not all smallmouth move to deep water during the wintertime, so you still can catch them in shallow water. You just got to find the right fish, I guess that would be.
I thought you were about to say you could still catch them on top water. I'm like,
top water.
That would be awesome.
I heard stories about. I heard George from Susquehanna Bait and Tackle talk about catching them in cold water on top water already.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, but he's probably talking about when they had that warm water discharge.
Yeah, maybe.
That's cheating. That's I wouldn't even.
Yeah, it's like 70-degree water. And fish don't know what day it is.
So that doesn't exist anymore. That warm water discharge.
I know if Jordan Welliver is to be believed, he was telling me about a big topwater blow up there in like January, and I don't know, when he tells me things about that area, it's hard to believe. But then I go up there and see it for myself, and man, we went out there on New Year's Eve day last year, and there's some really big fish up there in that North Branch and West Branch. That was something else.
Crazy.
Sean, I was going to share. Do you have any questions for Mickey?
I was just trying to think of any other baits. So we talked a little bit about blade baits. We talked about jigs, hair jigs, jerk baits. Anything else that you might throw? I was trying to think of anything else that that is in my winter tackle box that I don't necessarily throw a lot of otherwise.
These might not be new, but I just started noticing them and I love them. Buckeye Lures makes them, and I like to support local businesses, so that's why I asked Ken to make this color, which I know he does. But it's basically, it's a Ned rig I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Like peanut butter and jelly.
Hold on, I'll make it bigger. Give me a sec. Let's see.
You know, I was thinking about that today. A Ned head with a skirt on it. In peanut butter and jelly color.
But it's weedless too. And
okay.
I'm not too crazy about that. I mean, I threw it for a long time on the Juniata, and I only got snagged twice, I think, in like 5 hours.
Wow.
With that weed guard on it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I told him, I said, this is what I want, but I know his hooks are real sticky, and I don't want this weed guard to be as thick as this one is. So he's on it. He's going to make me some good ones.
Yeah. Ken will cook you up something good.
Hey, Ken, double up that order.
3/16.
Sean knows peanut butter and jelly is my
yeah.
My go-to.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's one of your favorites.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about blotchy bass in the wintertime. Do you guys notice a lot of that in the wintertime?
So it's interesting. Last year, and I'm trying to think who put it on, but there was a group that was doing a scientific study trying to study the phenomenon of blotchy bass. And so they were actually running a tournament. They called it the Blotchy Bass Bonanza. And I had him on, the guy on when I was on Paddle and Fin, and it was really neat because they were getting information on that phenomenon from all over the country by running these tournaments. That obviously they would have the location data. They weren't sharing it, but they could track where people were catching these bass with these spots on them. And, they were, using that to kind of dig into that to see if it was, I think the last time I talked to the guy, they had kind of said that they didn't think it would negatively have affected them. It's more of a pigmentation thing, not necessarily a sickness or something like that. But it was really interesting that they now I haven't seen it this year that they picked back up with it, but last year it was a pretty long running thing, and man, they had some good freaking prizes. They had I got a AFCO like $100 gift card from them.
I know that they were giving away some cool certificates and stuff like that, like gift certificates for different places.
Well, and it's interesting too. On that note, I was talking to Devin, who used to be down at Shanksmere, but now is with the Susquehanna River Keepers, and they are actually looking to start up a smallmouth bass study in our area. And so they're looking at ways like the Blotchy Bass tournament to kind of collect that data. And so that's in the works. I don't know 100% what it looks like yet. I think they're still kind of putting it together, but we'll definitely, when that happens, let you all know about how that's going to work. Because, to me, anything that can, help the health of our fishery and keep smallmouth bass growing and thriving is worth it. So we'll definitely cover that more once we get more details on that.
Yeah, for me it was always winter. Like I catch a lot of smallmouth with blotchy black spots on them in the wintertime more than any season. The first one I did catch this year was during the power hour, the native power hour. It had black lips. The whole fish had black lips. It was so cool looking. But my first blotchy bass that I caught was last year in the wintertime, and it was a pretty neat looking fish the way he was blotched up. If we really don't have anything else to talk about,
just real quick, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about the schedules coming out.
It seemed like the Susky was an afterthought at first, but now it's starting to come around, and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness!"
Yeah. Well, I thought we might give it a year off, but I think people talk, they want it. I'm looking at Bassmaster schedule. It's good locations, but not for us.
Yep.
Gonna sit this one out this year for sure.
Well, how about Hobie just completely not having it?
Yeah, I kept hearing rumors about that for a while, so I wasn't shocked. But it's unfortunate. But maybe, we'll see. But then locally, I didn't really look at your guys' schedule. You talked about it a bit. Glad to hear the Upper Basil in it, just to mix it up a little. There is some conflict there with our, I do a lot of MAKBF tournaments. So,
and we tried to reach
definitely,
out to the other tournament trails when we made our schedule and tried to schedule around it, but unfortunately, there's just so many now that it's tough
yeah.
to
But
really make them that unique. But we
Yeah,
definitely tried. So
no problem. Well, yeah, hey, I saw on a national level kayak adventure series.
yeah,
yes,
they're
Man,
coming.
for where we live, that's actually a great schedule. I think
Yeah.
there's like maybe 3 or 4 on there that are within
within reach.
driving distance,
Yeah.
and
And I
good for
think
them.
I
Great
think that
prizes.
that that tournament is going to be in with the Bass Nation. They're going to be fishing the same weekend as
Oh,
the
PA
kayak
Bass. Yeah,
adventure
that
tournament.
I
PA
haven't
Bass.
gotten an answer on that yet. As far as
Mm.
it,
I just got the schedule today from them.
yeah, PA Bass is doing that, but are people coming to fish the kayak adventure series from other states? Are they going to want to fish, a PA Bass event? Especially if they have to pay a membership. That's why I
Yeah,
was hoping
true,
maybe they have
true.
a guest membership or something, because then the partnership makes sense. But
Yeah, I agree with that.
nationally, we definitely did, with the Hobie and other stuff, we lost some opportunities, but that gives us local guys a chance. I didn't really talk about it, but I'm going to be on part of the leadership team for MAKBF,
Oh, nice.
and that really opens the door for them, for kayak anglers, to fill a need in this area for not
Yeah,
just 10, 15 people showing up for a fun tournament. That's always good, but to have 40, 50, 60 people show up for just a quote unquote local trail, uh, that's phenomenal. And between the trails that are available here, you get some good varying bodies of water. The Potomac, it's about as far as I have to go. But then you have the Susky as usual, and then you have a new smallmouth river, the Upper Potomac. Like, that sounds awesome. I've never fished there, but I'm picturing it as being something like the Susky and the Juniata combined. Somewhere in between.
that's going to be an exciting event.
Yeah,
I think
that's one
so
I'm
because
I'm
it's pretty
showing up
new.
and doing. I love that. And then
Yeah,
of course Conowingo is going to be on the schedule, but earlier this year, I don't know if my fish will be there yet.
yeah.
I'm telling everyone they won't be, so they don't, because some people figured out where I fished last year and caught all those big smallies. But
Uh, and also, Gene Jensen, the Fluke Master, started a new trail, a team trail. It's a 2-man team. They're coming to this
oh
Husky
yeah,
also.
yeah, that's phenomenal. I've been really hoping for a team series,
Yeah,
somewhere, and that's perfect. That's awesome. That's you and a buddy going out. You have a reason to work together,
and that's a
collaborate.
2-day event. I think. I think they were talking about a 2 or
It
a
is. Yep.
3-day event.
It's a
Wow.
Or
2-day event. Yep.
is it a
And
2-day event?
and
Yeah,
they're going to have an AOI and, not Angler of the Year, but Team of the Year. And they're going to have, good
that's pretty
sponsors and
cool.
everything. It's going to be, I think
Yeah,
it's going to be very good. It's brand new. There's no affiliation with any other trail. I know that they have a panel of anglers that are, making sure the rules and everything get hashed out. And it's very,
yeah,
Jody Queen's involved with that.
Wow,
yep,
that's awesome.
Gene
yep.
Jensen obviously running it, but yeah, they're checking all the boxes, and for me, I'll be there on the Susky doing that for sure. Um, I had a couple of people ask to be my partner that night, but we'll see. There's some drama there. We'll see.
I'm sure that's it's take a number on that list, right?
Yeah, well, if
The people.
JR Rents, if you're listening, I know you want to go chase, Angler of the Year and fish all these events with somebody, and I can only do that one. Maybe you just do that one with me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
But no,
so
I
it was
really
just
enjoyed
weird.
talking to you guys tonight, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you having me on.
it
It's
was
been
just
fun.
weird to see Hobie like say they're not doing anything and then
Oh,
have everybody else kind of fill the void, you know?
yeah, I got nothing to base this on. I read all the rumors and stuff. What I'm guessing happened was I think somebody bought Hobie recently within the
Oh.
past few years, and they probably are looking at, the bottom line. Like they're like getting that company ready to be sold, and for a profit or as much profit as they can salvage, and throwing money at a tournament trail is probably not. While the anglers love it, as a company looking at X's and O's, it doesn't look good. So
Yeah.
anything that's not properly getting rid of,
Yeah.
um, that's completely based on rumors. I don't know this. I don't know any more than you guys do. I'm just
Yeah.
seeing what I read, but it makes
Well,
sense. they're getting ready to sell this thing again. You know?
Yeah.
Well, Mickey, it was good to have you on here and talk a little bit of some of the juice. Maybe we taught some people something about winter fishing on the Susquehanna River. We're looking forward to this season. We're looking forward to some more winter fishing. Maybe we can all get together one day and get out there and
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, don't go fishing alone, especially in a kayak. I'm right here. I don't need somebody to twist my arm to go out and fish.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was today, I might say no, but any other day is fine. Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. It was good to see you, Mickey.
Absolutely. Let's get out real soon. I'm looking forward to it. Even if we can only go out for an hour or two, we can go right to the bank.
Maybe the New Year's break, we might have to get out there on that warm spell.
Yep. Yeah. I'll be out once or twice or 3 times that week. Yep.
Awesome.
Hey, I see Larry in the chat there too. Speaking of hair jigs, I know Larry is another guy who I've seen crush it on a hair jig a time or two. So thanks for tuning in, Larry.
Larry. Yep. Larry and Isaac Polly chiming in here. I saw both of them at the native event. We all decided to fish the same launch from the same spot together, but it was only us and a couple other people, so it was fun. Good people, Larry and Isaac. I'm glad they're chiming in here.
Awesome.
Well, Mickey, if you want to hang out a little bit, we just have a couple of other things to run over real quick. But if you want to just hang out in the background, or if you have to go, that's fine too. But
I'm good. I'll hang out backstage.
Sweet. I know, Mickey, we'll catch up with you then. Thanks again, brother. I appreciate it. Hey,
Thanks,
do you want to give anybody shout outs of where they can find you or how they can, it's up to you. I don't know if you have any socials you want to share.
Yeah, I don't do anything crazy, but pretty soon I think I'm going to start. I love teaching. So I think I'm going to start as a tool doing videos just to show people some stuff. I don't want to make money. I don't need to do anything. I just, I like fishing. I like meeting people out in the water. I like competing, of course, but teaching has always been my passion, and that's something I'm gonna have to start doing is taking video and get it out there. We'll see. But anyways, I want to thank my family. I mean, it's so nice to have support from people at home rooting for you. They know how to use Torniax, log in and type in my name and see what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, making sure I'm not sandbagging. So it's good to have that support from home. They want me to win, and it's important for me to go out and, compete and not give up, because I know I have people cheering for me. So Danny, Mason, Ellie, thank you guys. Too many friends to thank. A lot of them are here in the comments and on the screen with me. So it's very nice having you guys to be able to fish with from time to time and talk about fishing.
Always. Oh, we're always looking for people to fish with, and Mickey's, it's just an honor to go fishing with you, man. You're such a great guy and teacher to the sport, and I'm just surprised that sponsors ain't knocking on your doors.
Well, I gotta wear less clothes and get on social media, and I just haven't done that yet. But if that's the route I want to go, I will start doing that. But for now, I'm just enjoying fishing, and that's about it.
Mickey, awesome. You're awesome, dude. We wish your family Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. We appreciate you being on the show. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you too.
All right, man. So, on the sponsors front, I wanted to shout out a couple of our sponsors who have really stepped up. I know we brought Nico on board last week. We had a good conversation. I had a good conversation with Scott from Nico, and I wanted to tell you guys we're definitely going to be covering some of their baits in the future here. If you haven't heard of Nico, they're great, almost indestructible soft plastic baits. So I'm a big fan. So kind of like the Elastec stuff, but these just are like bulletproof baits. They make Helgramites and leeches. So I definitely wanted to shout out those again. Carla and I, when we were talking about different sponsors and stuff, we really wanted to kind of talk or have sponsors on our show that we really believed in, and that's what made me think of Nico, because I'm a big proponent of their baits, that they last well and they have really cool colors and they just seem to work. So I wanted to give a shout out to Scott. Hopefully we'll be having a promo for you guys, a promo code or not a promo code,
a discount code.
A discount code, yes.
For the next, probably for the next show, we should have it by then.
Yep. And also Railblazer, they kind of asked us, for ideas of things that we wanted, products of theirs that we wanted to check out. And so we both Carla and I sent them a few things that we were interested in, and they completely hooked us up. So we're going to be doing reviews of stuff. This is one of the things I had mentioned to them. I was looking at the Innovative Sportsman Osprey, and I was worried about kind of storage. So they sent me this. This is a rail mounted kind of tackle thing. It has a space for your pliers. It has a spot in the top for all sorts of different stuff.
But you could probably mount that right to the side of the seat on the Innovative Sportsman.
I mean, it has it goes on rail or any.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So
it has the pins.
It's perfect. Yeah. And but they sent us a bunch of products that we're going to be doing some reviews on and stuff. So
they sent me a really cool product that I'm really excited to use. It's the spooling station.
That looked really neat.
And I can actually I can connect it right to one of my rails on my kayak if I wanted to do that. But not only that, they also gave me a suction cup that I can do it at in my house, as long as I have some hard surface to stick that suction cup down on. I always have my wife, hold the spool with a pencil or something like that. This takes away from that. You don't need it anymore. Just stick it right to something and spool your rod up.
That one is on my list for sure too.
And we do have a promo code for them. It's Chasing 25, and you get 25% off Railblaze, all Railblaze, the whole website. So check them out. Like I talked about earlier with Ken's Jigs, if you get to contact Ken, either you can call him or go on his Facebook Messenger and place your order. As long as you say something about the podcast, you watch the podcast, that's where you heard about the podcast. You heard about Ken's Jigs through the podcast. He'll give you 10% off that order that you're about to set for that. So also, I just recently talked to Achigan, and I haven't got a discount code for them yet, but he's working on it. He's a very busy man. He's in the process of making different kind of bait right now, so he's busy with that.
Which looks amazing, Josh, by the way.
Yeah. Josh, you see him on Instagram all the time. They're trying to perfect this bait. So I'm sure by the next podcast we'll have a discount code for him and Little Miami outfit.
I gotta say, Achigan's stuff is super comfy. Like, this is a sweatshirt, and it's like a top quality sweatshirt. I love this. I wear this everywhere, pretty much all winter long. So
I'm excited to check out some of his stuff. I want to get some hats and some shirts and stuff like that from Achigan, just because we're both smallmouth maniacs. So why not?
Yep.
And one more, Little Miami Outfitters, we have a discount code for them. You get 10% off. So guys, take advantage of this stuff. I mean, why pay full price? So we're a little over an hour here. Did you want to cover anything else, Sean, that you've seen?
I think that's everything for now. Still super excited about all the different things that we have coming up. I mean, it's our first show. We had a ton of listens to and follows, and so thank you guys to everyone who checked us out. If you have any comments or critiques, we're not going to say we do everything perfect. So if you see anything we could do better or different, let us know, and be on the lookout. Hopefully with some of the sponsors coming on board, we can do some giveaways and things like that. So just super excited about where we're headed and the future. Everything's looking up. So keep tuning in, and who knows.
I did want to mention one more thing to all the local anglers around here. Susquehanna Fish and Tackle, January 10th and 11th, Bass Fest. I know we all spend a lot of money for Christmas time. Try to save some money, because they have some awesome deals going on over there. Discounts on all kinds of stuff. They have pros coming, Elite Series pros coming to put on seminars and stuff like that. So don't forget about them, guys. It's the local tackle shop for us, filled with anything and everything you would need, and the local knowledge that they give us every time we go in there is second to none. So I just wanted to bring that up for Susquehanna Fish and Tackle Bass Fest, January 10th and 11th. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome.
Cool, man. Well, I think that probably wraps us up for today. You think, Carlisle?
Yeah, I think we got that. Mickey threw some knowledge out there for us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So,
and if you guys hit the water and, find some success, hit us up on Facebook or on YouTube and let us know, how you're doing. We'll highlight your catches on the show, and we're happy to, celebrate your guys' victories as well. So
awesome. Hey, I just want to say to everybody out there, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Enjoy this time with your families and friends, and hopefully everybody has a safe holiday and a safe New Year's, and maybe we'll see you out there on the water sometime. God bless everybody.
See you guys.